Hey, it's the Empire, Jukebox Empire, Boxer Boxing. Now, man, you guys see my boy Jarret, Swift Hurd, and Jamal only Charlo and Jamel only Charlo, man. Lions only, man. Big deal. One's former undefeated 154 champion, current undefeated 160 WBC champion, and Jamel Charlo is one belt short of being undisputed at 154, man. Fought to a draw. And this is a really big deal, man. Understand that Jarret Hurd, he was going through the division left and right, man. He was stopping everyone, right? He stopped Austin No Doubt Trout in his reign as a unified champion at 154. He beat Arizona Laura, right? He was walking through fighters left and right, man. Now, all that being said, man, you know, that one win that really set Jarret Hurd apart from everyone else is that Tony Harrison KO, right? 9th round knockout with Tony Harrison. Jamel Charlo lost to Tony Harrison and he rematched him, basically getting the dub by knockout, right? He got the win and he unified titles. He got the titles again. That was the difference between Jarret Hurd and Jamel Charlo. One, he rematched the guy he lost to, and Jarret Hurd, when he lost to Julian Jarret Williams, he did not rematch the guy, leaving the belts to fall in somebody else's hands. So all that being said, you know, understand that, you know, there was supposed to be a lot of hype behind the idea of Canelo Alvarez and Jarret Hurd fighting each other. Now, all that being said, you know, do people still want to see that fight? And I do think people still want to see that fight with Jarret Hurd and Jamel Charlo. Now, people are saying that Jarret Hurd needs to fight somebody at 154 to really get his name back. But, I mean, the only thing I can really do is Jarret Hurd rematching Julian Jarret Williams. But, I mean, what does that really do to solidify himself? Because Julian Jarret Williams is a great fighter, but you understand the guy, you know, he's been knocked out a lot. You know, his last 2 fights have been by knockout. He got knocked out by Jason, or last one fight was knocked out by Jason Rosario when he lost all the titles, and then he got the split decision by Vladimir Hernandez. So all that being said, man, you know, Jarret Hurd, he was beating all the top guys at 154, and I just don't see how a quote-unquote big win at 154 would get him another fight with a fight period with Jamel Charlo. Understand that, you know, in boxing, people just take L's, man. And I basically broke down the difference between Jamel Charlo and Jarret Hurd, which is basically that when they first got their first loss, the difference was they rematched. Right? Jamel Charlo rematched his guy that he lost to, which was Tony Harrison, and Jarret Hurd did not rematch the guy he lost to, which was Julian Jarret Williams. All that being said, man, Luis Arias, after that loss with Julian Jarret Williams, he got dubbed, and then he lost to Luis Arias, and that was a big loss for Jarret Hurd, a big setback. You know, I wouldn't call it a big loss; it was a big upset. That was not supposed to happen. But all that being said, man, Jarret Hurd and Jamel Charlo is still a big fight. You know, Jamel Charlo is short of being undisputed at that division with fighting Castano, and after that, he would be undisputed at 154. He only has a handful of fights left at 154 to really speak of before he's gonna have to go up in weight, or he's just gonna reign at 154. You know, his brother's at 160, so we don't know what Jamel Charlo is gonna do from here in his career. But you know, the whole altercation with Jamel Charlo and Jarret Hurd said he was talking trash about his wife, and basically he had no choice but to slap him. You know, so all that being said, man, you know, Jamel Charlo is always known to be the loud one, the one to get stuff popped off, and to be hyper aggressive. You know, so you know, this is not unusual for Jamel Charlo to get, you know, talking out the mouth like that. But from what I've seen, I think personally that if Jamel Charlo tries to fight Jarret Hurd, man, he did not look good in that last Castano fight. I thought the draw was fair, but if he tried to fight someone like Jarret Hurd, he can do Jarret Hurd is Castano, but he's like Castano 3.0, right? I think Castano has a little bit better defense, and that saved him from not getting stopped. But as far as pressure, Jarret Hurd has a lot more pressure. He'll put more pressure on Jermell Charlo. The guy is way bigger than Jermell Charlo. Recently, in between fights, Jarret Hurd balloons up in weight, and I promise you, he's walking around at like a 190 or something like that. He has to be high 180 in 190 area. The guy is huge in the ring or outside the ring, and if Jarret Hurd and Jermell Charlo were fighting in the street, Hurd blows up in weight so much, it'd be a mismatch. It'd be like a guy fighting 3 weight classes above another guy. So all that being said, man, I'd favor Jarret Hurd because I didn't like what I saw in that Castano fight. He looked frozen, right? I thought Jermell Charlo could do whatever he wanted to Castano, but there's times where he just wasn't throwing punches. He was getting walked down, and it was uncomfortable for him. That style would always give Jermell Charlo problems. It's too hard to fight inside, and Jermell Charlo, when they started fighting the inside, Jermell Charlo was throwing power shots to it. He wasn't really trying to fight the inside. He was just trying to get him out there, and that won't work against Hurd. If he tries to throw power shots, Hurd has pretty good defense on the inside. He's not the best defensively sound fighter, but if you try to throw power shots with Hurd, you're going to gash yourself out, because Hurd, he doesn't need distance for power. He can actually throw really good short shots, and that's more his game. He'd be fighting Hurd's game at that point. So I still got Hurd if you're there to fight each other. I know people were talking a lot of trash because Castano got that draw with Jermell Charlo, and people they feel like Jermell won, so they still think Jermell might dominate Hurd. But I just don't see it that way, man. I just don't see it that way. I guess I'm a minority, but Jermell Charlo has some spectacular knockouts in his career, but so did Jarret Hurd, and that rematch really stunted his career. I think in boxing, if you lose to a guy and it was a bad loss, man, you're gonna have to just take your chances over by fighting that guy again. Now Hurd was trying to get his footing right by changing trainers and everything, and I seen him versus Luis Aries, and he just reverted back to his old ways. He didn't really box, he just walked forward. With all that being said, man, I think Hurd's still a great fighter. He just needs to stay, sometimes they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but it's really about discipline in the ring. He's going to have to really get with a trainer that he can, trust his life on or something like that, because, when these trainers are training you and you're really doing what they say, you're walking through walls for these guys. You're really life or death living by this guy's philosophy. And Jarret Hurd, he's been fighting in close range for so long. Hopefully he can start boxing, because he's so tall, he's so big. I think it'll give a lot of people problems. And I seen Hurd hurt people from the outside. I seen him hurt Julian Jack Williams, fights he was losing on the outside. He has power at distance when he throws long punches, like a straight right. But he just needs to get his discipline right with his boxing ability, his defense. That's it, really. He gets those two things well. His defense and boxing ability and countering guys when they miss, I think he'll be A1. Not walking in straight, walking at angles, boxing, the basics. But yeah, man, this is gonna be a really big deal, man. This is definitely one of the bigger fights in boxing. The 154 division, everyone fights everyone. No one's ducking nobody, and people really need to talk about it. I've been hearing wild stuff from fans lately, like Gervonta Tank Davis don't fight black fighters, but here you got Jermell Charlo fighting all the black fighters, and you got Jarret Hurd fighting all the black fighters and all the Cubans. No respect. They're bums. It's outrageous, man. There's obviously a double standard in boxing, and Jermell Charlo, I can go down a list of all the top black fighters he fought, Afro Latinos, even Jason Rosario, Tony Harrison. He fought him more than once. Austin Trout, Erickson Lubin. Charles Hadley, John Jackson. I can go on and on. about all the top black fighters he fought. It's ridiculous. It's outrageous. And, you know, he's not even on the pound for pound list. So this idea that these, you know, black fighters aren't fighting undefeated black fighters, when they finally do, where's the respect, man? There is no respect. There's just no respect. Anyway, man, I think the Jarret Hurd versus Jermell Charlo fight, yeah, man, that's a big one, man. That's a big one for the books, man. People still want to see it. I still want to see it. You know, people always talk about how Anthony Josh and Deontay Wilder, that's still a big fight. Deontay Wilder has been stopped twice. Anthony Josh has been stopped and completely outpointed. People still talk about how that fight's a big fight. If that's still a big fight, then Jarret Hurd versus Jermell Charlo is still a big fight. People need to get over the fact that, you know, fighters take L's, but they still fight everyone. That's what really matters, man. Anyway, man, let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is the Empire. Geobas Empire. Peace. Geobas Empire. Peace.